Hey, real quick, sorry, I've lost my voice a little bit, but we are raffling this off, so it's an autographed banner of Ray Lewis. If you see our volunteers with the little baskets, they are roaming around the room. They've got their hands up right now. So if you want to buy a raffle ticket to buy the banner, I know we've got some hands over here on the left side. If you want to buy some raffle tickets, we will be raffling this off towards the end of the meeting. So you can start now throughout the meeting. Just find one of our volunteers, and we'll be raffling this off towards the end of the meeting.
Check, 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 check. Woo! Where's I need a Ray Lewis napkin to wipe off my sweat, because I'm going to be sweating really. I can tell right now. Here we go. Listen, if Ray Lewis can use a sweat towel at his Hall of Fame induction, I can use one today. I'm not apologizing. Yeah, please turn on that fan. I've already used my joke on Ray that, yeah, I used to be a linebacker. Now I'm a defensive lineman. He agreed. It's all it's all good. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's some folks still going through the line. Everyone is in for a treat today. Had a chance to visit with Ray a little bit earlier. And I'm just going to tell you, we have had some amazing guests here over the years, the best of the best. I mean, last week was Brett Favre. We've had Peyton Manning, Mike Ditka. You know, we've had so many. But I'm going to tell you, Ray Lewis is going to be a hoot. I want to try to get as much time as I can with him. I've tried to do as much research like I did for Brett Favre Rex. I think I'm probably a B to A- on Ray's book report if I had to submit it. So, and yes, he does still look like he can play, but he's a little bit younger than me. That's okay. He's already let me know that he threw the shot put further than me in high school. Thanks, Ray, amongst other things. It is great to have everybody here. This is week 3. Did you guys enjoy Brett Favre last week? Did you think it was great? So not only do we have Ray today, we have Eric Dickerson next week. And, of course, Eric Dickerson was doing NIL before there was NIL. We all knew it. We all knew it, Ray. We knew about that Trans Am. I knew it. I didn't play in the pros, but I played in the pros in college, for sure. Great to have you on our 20th season here at the Touchdown Club. We can't do it without you guys. People are talking about this Touchdown Club all over the country saying, you know, how are they doing it? We're doing it because you're showing up, you're buying tickets, our sponsors, all the things together. So it's going to be a fun day today, and I hope you just enjoy. I always talk about being in the moment. Be in the moment. I'm telling you, you're going to be inspired from what you hear today. I'm just telling you. You're going to be inspired from what you hear today. It's going to be some really good stuff. And plus, Razorbacks win 70-0. I mean, my gosh. I mean, you can't do much better than that. Nothing against our good friends at UAPB, but that was a great way to go. I think, Debbie, let's go ahead and do this right now. You already have it? All right. Ray Lewis signed, as you can see, the picture over there. Ray, we've been doing this for 20 years, and you have the most intimidating-looking poster we've ever had, or picture that we've ever had. He signed that, and we're giving that away as a raffle today. The lucky winner is, and this, you just put it outside your front door and keep away all the bad people, right? 973-268. 973-268. Do we have a winner? 973. Oh, listen, that's why I want to hear some emotion. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. Congratulations. Before we bring up the pigskin preacher, I did want to mention 2 weeks ago we lost Daryl Mason, my old teammate, who played for the Razorbacks, great tight end, played at Parkview, played for a little bit in the NFL. But now we lost Billy Moore. And most of you remember Billy Moore, the only All-American quarterback Arkansas has ever had. Ray, you would have loved Billy Moore. You talking about a personality. When he was a player back, you know, in the old days. And then even now, as an adult, he was just the craziest, good-hearted guy. One of the most unique personalities you ever met. We lost him at age 84, died last Thursday. So keep his family in your prayers. And just what a neat person he was, Rex. You know, just really a one-of-a-kind kind of deal. And Ray, that's the kind of teammate. Listen, I love playing with teammates who were different and fun and crazy and had confidence, and he had it to the day he died. He's really an amazing guy. So, Pigskin, will you come up, please, in a word of prayer?
David, might I say, it's about time that you got a preacher on this lineup. We got Preacher Ray with us today. Not many preachers, though, with 2 Super Bowl wins and 2,000 career tackles. But, Ray, glad to have you with us. Let's pray together. Father, what a wonderful occasion it is to come together with family and friends and to be able to celebrate life and the wonderful world that you've given us. And with the changing of the seasons, we honor you and give you glory. We're thankful, Father, for the great game of football, for the lessons that are learned, for the young men that strive and are such a good example to us. And, Father, we're thankful for our speaker today, that Ray could be with us. We pray your blessings on his ministry, his work, and the many good things he does in the community. Father, we're mindful of the Moore family at this time as well. With the passing of Billy, we pray that you give them peace and comfort and a special sense of your presence. Father, we're grateful for the health that we have, for the food that we've eaten, and we pray your blessings on the further exercises of this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pigskin, are you okay with the Michigan close call with Fresno State? We're going to get beat this week by Texas, is what he said. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. As I mentioned, Ray Lewis and some of the greats we've had here in the past. You know, I mentioned Brett Favre was he was the first guy to go 70,000 yards. I think he was the first guy to go 500 touchdowns. First. Now, some of those have been broken since then. But our guest to my left is still right now the all-time in the history of the NFL, the all-time tackle leader in individual tackles and combined tackles. And Ray, I don't think the only guy that is even still playing is Wagner, Bobby Wagner right now. He's 500 tackles away from you, and I think he's getting ready to hang it up. So you're looking at what could arguably be the greatest defensive player in the history of this game that we love so much. So that's why I'm saying let's enjoy what we have today and appreciate it. Can't wait to hear what he's going to say. And yes, you do. I think you're a reverend. I think your mom's a reverend. I think, so he may start preaching today. I'm not really sure. We remind everybody to mute your phones. You can tell everybody, you can text everybody. They can watch this on lrtouchdown.com, myarkansaspbs.com, our Touchdown Club YouTube page, Facebook, Twitter, and 1037 The Buzz Live will be carrying Ray's speech live across the state. Do want to acknowledge our sponsors real quick. Got a lot of great sponsors. Simmons Bank. Ray was over there talking with Freddie Black and Chris White. We couldn't do it without you guys. Could not do what we do without you. Thank you so much. I always brag to our guest speakers, $27 billion in assets in case you want to try to get a loan. They got plenty to give. So thank you to Simmons Bank. Had Freddie on the buzz this morning talking about the great tournament coming up in October. Also, Stevens. I want to thank Stevens for their sponsorship. Rex, starting this Thursday, Morning Mayhem, where's Roger? We will be at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts with the F1 car. Why? Listen, they've never had a radio show like ours going to the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. But it's called Beyond the F1 Circuit, Artistry and Speed with Williams Racing. They actually have a racing car, an F1 racing car, Formula One, as well as a race suit, helmet, all the things. They sponsor Williams Racing in Europe. And so they're proud to bring it over here. It's one of a kind. It's never been done before. So it's September 5th through the 22nd. We started off with Morning Mayhem, so we hope you join us and put it on your calendar to get by there September 5th through the 22nd at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. Thanks to Stevens for doing that. I also want to thank Oaklawn Hot Springs. Right off the bat, I'm 2 of 3 on my first 3 picks. Follow me on the Oaklawn Sports app. Those stinking Ohio State Buckeyes were the only ones that cost me. I won't wager on them again, but anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Download the Oaklawn Sports app in the Apple App Store or the Google Play. $1,000 bonus bets if you're a new customer. So come along and be a part of that with me this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks to the fine folks here at Oaklawn. Appreciate Wayne and Zach and the boys for their support of the Touchdown Club. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Antoine Phillips is here today, a key member of their sports law team. One of only 2 agents in the state of Arkansas certified by the NBA Players Association, highly respected litigator. And also, Rex, he's a city board member, a director at large. How about that? Antoine, where are you at? Great to see you. Where are you at there? He's in court. Of course he doesn't show up. Way to go. I just bragged on him for nothing. Thank you, Antoine. No, he's a great guy, great attorney, great folks over at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Thank you. Crane Automotive Dealership, I do want to thank the Crane folks. Last week, you guys bought 500 tickets for kids to be a part of that game against UAPB, and I think that's worth a round of applause. Yes, thank you. Christian Crane did that, and that was a great idea, and great to see all you guys here. You managed to take time out to be here today. We appreciate you and appreciate what you guys have got. 20 dealerships across the state, 1,000 employees. Crane's team's got them, but thank you for that great gift you did last week. Sissy's Law Cabinet, 54 years in the business. Bill and Sherry Jones, Jim Englehorn, Pine Bluff, Little Rock, West Little Rock, Jonesboro, Memphis, because life is too short for ordinary jewelry. Great to have you guys as always. Thank you for being here and supporting the Touchdown Club. Double B, Steve Lytle, Ed Light, we appreciate that. 34 locations throughout Central Arkansas. Ray Lewis wouldn't eat there, but I would. Hot delis and pizza, gas it, grab it, and go. Summerwood Sports, great to see the Hendricks family right here. A lot of exciting things happening there, but we want to talk about Summerwood Sports today. One of the greatest sports complexes in America, right there in Bryant. Host your next practice, training session, or birthday party. They do great work. The Hendricks family is one of the best. Roller Funeral Homes, Renata Jenkins Byler. We appreciate her support of the Touchdown Club. 24 locations across the state. They do an amazing job with families at a very tough time. Advantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, our GM. 35 years in the business. They do HVAC, plumbing, electrical needs, you name it. Where's Kevin at? Great to appreciate Kevin and their support. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. So we'll do our first All-Arkansas Preps player next week. Do we know who maybe would be he might be the winner for next week? A lot of good high school performances this past week. We'll have that next week, but thanks for the Democrat Gazette's support. The Hatcher Agency, Twin City Limo, Greg Hatcher. Lane Hatcher, Greg's son, got a chance to visit with Ray before he came in today. Much respect, because y'all may not know this, but Ray Lewis was a state champion wrestler. And so, yes, exactly right, state champion wrestler. And Lane Hatcher, he was a 4-time state champion. And you know what a difference that made in your life, Ray. But thanks to Greg, thanks to Lane, appreciate the Hatcher family and what they do. Listen, they do so much behind the scenes for the Touchdown Club. We thank them and Twin City Limo and Popeye for their work. Simmons Bank Arena, we got Dwight Yoakum on Friday, September 13th. Theo Vaughn, September 26th. Jelly Roll and more. You just need to go to the Simmons Bank Arena website. Michael Marion, Janet George. Michael should be happy because Mississippi State won big this weekend. But thanks to Simmons Bank Arena. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis and Stephen Reichert, appreciate all their help. Give them a shot at your business for your business. 75 years of excellent service. War Memorial Stadium. Thanks to John Latch and Mark Pike and the gang. It was fun to have a celebration of 70-0 at War Memorial, the grand old lady, and then to come back the next night and have the Salt Bowl there. Appreciate them. Arkansas Urology, Dr. Caleb Bozeman is here representing Arkansas Urology. Been there since 2004. Appreciate their help. Guys, please go get checked. Please go get checked. Make it be a thing every year. Please get checked. Thanks to Chris Shinup. It's the 20th annual countdown to men's health, so take advantage of what they're offering. 103.7 The Buzz. Ray just got a chance to visit with Justin Akery and DJ Williams. We appreciate them. And my buddy Roger Scott, appreciate the support of the Touchdown Club and Justin Moore and the support they give, as well as Josh Neighbors and the whole morning show and the whole station, Terry Mahan as well. Arkansas, AY Media, AY Magazine, Arkansas Money and Politics. We still have a few of these magazines. Really proud of these. Thanks to Heather Baker for her support. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that so much. Arkansas PBS. Ray, we're all over the state. We're the only Touchdown Club in America. You know, this is not one of those clubs. You know, a lot of times Ray will get speaking engagements that are big corporate deals. But what this is a local deal, Ray. This is a bunch of local businesses coming together to be able to present these kind of awards at the end of the season, recognize our high school and college players. That's what we're here for. And so, and nobody streams all the meetings like we do with Arkansas PBS. We appreciate them, or being on 103.7 The Bus. And that's why everybody in America who talks to me and go, how are you guys doing at the Touchdown Club? Every day we try to get better, Ray. How can we do something that nobody else has done? So we appreciate Arkansas PBS for what you guys do for us each week. The DoubleTree Hotel, outstanding what they do in this room every week. JF Media and Marketing, Alicia Flynn, Jeremy Flynn, our social media is outstanding. Appreciate them. And a special thank to Patrick Schick today. Behind the scenes, Patrick really helped out. You know, it takes guys like Greg Hatcher and Patrick Schick and Simmons Bank and Stephen, everybody in here to get a guy like Ray Lewis here. So I want to say thanks to them. Let's give a big round of applause to all those sponsors. I know it's a long list, but Ray, we got to have them. You know, Ray, you got to have them, man. You can't do it without sponsors. You can't do it without sponsors. You can't do it without great teamwork. Dwayne Duncan taking pictures for us for over 10 years. Chris Kane and R.J. Hawk at the head table. The future of the Touchdown Club. Ray, we have the best volunteer group in America. Nobody has as many people volunteering to get here at 9:30. Debbie Wyman is our executive director. Let's give a big round of applause to Debbie and all of our volunteers. And we're going to have an abbreviated weekend in review because not all the schools played. But Ray, wait till you hear this guy. He may rival your energy. But It's great to have Rex back, and he's excited about it. All the GAC games will be next week. But let's give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. Boy, what a first great weekend of college football. Starting on Thursday, games running all the way through last night. It was really a fun week. And how about being able to see all 4 of our NCAA Division I teams in person over a 3-day period? And I know all of you were at both games in person following my sermon last week, so I'm just taking that for granted. We're going to start in Jonesboro because that is a game that is going to be discussed and debated for years. I'm so glad I was there. Just a remarkable last few minutes of the game. In case you missed it, Arkansas State blew a 27-10 fourth quarter lead as UCA's offense really came alive down the stretch. Shunderick Powell rushed for 182 yards on 15 carries for the Bears in that game. He went 82 yards for a score with 13:38 left to cut that lead to 27-17. Bears stopped the Red Wolves, and they cut the lead to 27-24 as quarterback Will McElvain connects on a 23-yard touchdown with 10:33 left. The final UCA drive begins at the Red Wolf 35 with 1:43 left after the Bears recover a fumble by ASU's fine quarterback Jalen Rayner, and then Powell completes a halfback pass, great call, down to the 4. Darius Hale scores on the next play. UCA leads 31-7 with just 55 seconds left in the game. ASU starts at its 30, 70 yards to go, 55 seconds to get there. They're down to possibly their last play. 4th and 4 with 20 seconds left. Rayner completes a 42-yard pass to Corey Rucker at the UCA 22. Then Jaquil Cross catches a pass at the 7. And then the play, was it or wasn't it? Rayner finds Rucker with 3 seconds left for the ASU win. Rucker had 9 receptions for 182 yards. I tell you, the skill people on both of those teams are great. This is a UCA team that could go a long way in the FCS playoffs, and I think ASU will be back in a bowl game again this year. Very, very impressed, and it was great for Arkansas to see 2 of our Arkansas teams play a game like that. All right, we'll back up to Thursday at War Memorial Stadium, 70-0 Arkansas. As David said, 10 touchdowns in 10 possessions. Bobby Petrino is back. Taylon Green, 317 total yards and 4 TDs, and that was just in the first half. Largest margin since a 73-0 1928 win over what is now Rhodes College in Memphis. It's the first shutout since a 23-0 win over Tulsa back in 2018. 687 yards of total offense for the Hogs, 8 rushing touchdowns, all of them by newcomers. 6 different newcomers scored touchdowns on the ground. Now, I want you to let this percolate for a second. Last season, Arkansas had 9 rushing touchdowns in 12 games. They now have 8 after 1 game, just 1 behind that. Arkansas, 7 transfer newcomers started for the Hogs, and we'll know a lot more after the game in Stillwater this week. By the way, Arkansas's all-time record now at War Memorial Stadium, 154, 62, and 4. All-time record in Little Rock, 171, 68, and 5. And I know there are those who say, boy, you just don't need to be playing in another city. Well, there's something to be said for being unique. And no team in college football at any level has ever played as many games in another city as the Arkansas program has. 244 games have been played here in Little Rock through the years. It's a great tradition. There are smarter people than me working on it, but we need to see that tradition continue. Believe me. All right, let's get to the SEC. This is going to be quick. Quick run through SEC. Number 1, Georgia, 34, Clemson 3 on Saturday in Atlanta. A game away from their campus. Imagine that. 34-3 over Clemson. Carson Beck throws for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. Georgia led only 6-0 at the halftime of that game. But boy, they look like number 1 in the second half. Another Thursday night game saw Missouri beat Murray State 51-0. How about those Canes, Ray? Miami 41, Florida 17 in the swamp. Cam Ward threw for 385 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. And you know, I know it's still early, but I got this sense that Billy Napier at Florida and Mike Norvell at Florida State may be on David's list of potential speakers for next year. We'll see. We'll see. Possibly on that list. Texas 52, Colorado State nothing as Quinn Ewers passed for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alabama 63, Western Kentucky nothing as Jalen Milroe ran for 2 TDs and passed for 3 more. Ole Miss 76-0 over Furman as Jackson Dart threw 5 touchdown passes. Notre Dame 23, Texas A&M 13. Aggies are going to be Aggies, aren't they? The go-ahead score for the Irish came with 1:54 left in that game. Tennessee 69-3 over Chattanooga. How about Vanderbilt 34-27 over Virginia Tech in overtime? South Carolina 23, Old Dominion 19. They had to struggle a bit. Mississippi State 56-7 over Eastern Kentucky. Auburn 73-3 over Alabama A&M. Kentucky 31-0 over Southern Miss. Oklahoma 51-3 over Temple. And USC in our Sunday night game that I know most of you watch, 27-20 over LSU in Las Vegas. Woody Mark scores on a 13-yard run with 8 seconds left to win that game for the Trojans. Now, this week, of course, in the SEC, we've got Arkansas at Oklahoma State. That's the 11 a.m. game. Get up early on ABC. South Florida at Alabama, California at Auburn, Samford at Florida, Tennessee Tech at Georgia, South Carolina at Kentucky in the only conference game, Nicholls at LSU, Middle Tennessee at Ole Miss, Mississippi State at Arizona State, Buffalo at Missouri, Houston at Oklahoma, Tennessee at North Carolina State, and Texas at Michigan. That's on Fox at 11 a.m. Going to have to be flipping over from the Hog game to check that one. That should be a good game. McNeese at Texas A&M and Alcorn State at Vanderbilt. As David says, our GSC, home of the defending national champion in Division II in Harding University, they crank up on Thursday night games. So you have an opportunity to go out, and you really ought to do it. Here in the state, we've got Southern Nazarene at Harding, Southwestern Oklahoma at Ouachita, Oklahoma Baptist at Arkansas Tech, and Northwestern Oklahoma at UAM. Harding's number 1 in the preseason in Division II. Ouachita's number 19. Henderson's getting votes. Southern Arkansas getting votes. So 4 of our 6 Arkansas teams either in the poll or getting votes. D2 football's at the best level I've ever seen it in our state. And then Saturday, we've got Arkansas Baptist at UAPB and Tulsa at Arkansas State in Jonesboro in what should be a good game. So you know what that means, right? Games in Searcy, Arkadelphia, Russellville, Monticello, Pine Bluff, and Jonesboro. No excuses. Get your butt off the couch and go out and see a college football game this week. Thanks, everybody.
See, Ray, there's a lot of sweat between me and Rex up here. It's going to be really drippy up here. All right. I wanted to mention a couple of people real quick before we bring up Ray. My buddy Don Grisham, happy birthday over there to you, my friend. Good to see you. You're still a young man. Also, too, you know, a majority in 20 years I've been booking guests here at the Touchdown Club. We've booked about 250. I book about 98% by myself, but occasionally I need some help. Like today with Ray Lewis, next week with Eric Dickerson, and there's an agent here today that's the president of a direct sports link. I don't know where he's at right now, but I want to give a round of applause to a guy that's helped us out. He loves our Touchdown Club. Get up for Ward Heatley, everybody. Where's Ward at? Ward, are you somewhere in here? He's out there. He's probably working another deal, Ray. Also, Ray, you have two friends that are with you here today, two business associates, two close friends. First is Heather Angelis. Where's Heather at right there? So Heather is a business partner with Ray, and we'll forgive her that she's a big Oregon Ducks fan. But please welcome Heather Angelis, everybody, for being here with Ray. And also one of your dear friends, business partner, you name it. This guy is a 3-war veteran. He had headline-defining missions. And in between the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and Iraq, if that wasn't enough, this guy comes back, Ray, in between those duties, comes back and becomes a law enforcement official for Baltimore. He's been a law enforcement for Baltimore for 15, 20 years. I'm telling you, you can't get much more of a hero than that to fight in 3 wars. Because I asked him today, I said, which is tougher? The 3 wars are coming back having to deal with people in Baltimore. I don't know Baltimore very well. I don't know. But what an amazing hero, and I'm glad you brought him. Let's give it up for Larry Armwood, everybody. Thanks for being here, Larry. Yeah, listen, that is worth a standing ovation. A guy who's fought in 3 wars here. Let's give it up for Larry Armwood, everybody. My goodness. And he's a detective for the Baltimore Police Department. All right, it is time to bring up Ray. Really excited. There's so much. You know, you get guys like Peyton Manning and Brett Favre and a guy like Ray Lewis. There's so many different directions to go because there's so many integral parts of your life, Ray, that could have gone a different direction. And but you said one of the things you always say: God didn't make mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes. And listen, you know he's number 52, and you know why he chose that, right? Because 53 was already taken. Just saying. I'm kidding. He already had to shame me and say that he threw the shot put further than me in high school. So he's one up on me already today, in addition to a lot of others. Ray, listen, you are one busy guy because he's doing so many things in the community, and you're an entrepreneur doing so many business things. So first of all, you didn't have to agree to come here, and I don't know what Ward said to you, but we appreciate you taking time to be here today.
Oh, man, thank you guys for having me. Seriously. I told you I've been to Arkansas, I think.
Quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
Quick trip.
In and out, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were asking, we had an experience with Miami versus Arkansas that nobody wants to remember at War Memorial back in the 80s. Oh, boy. That was Jimmy Johnson paying back Frank Broyles for not hiring him. We all remember that. I think it was 57-7. But you weren't part of that because you played at Miami from 1993 to 1995. Sometimes you have to ask, Ray, you got to think, you're a kid that was born in Bartow, Florida, grew up in Lakeland, and here you are all these years later. You're speaking in front of a group of strangers in Little Rock, Arkansas. Your life, you have to sometimes look at that and go, it is an amazing miracle that happened, because we're going to sort of dive into how it started.
Yeah, I think it's amazing because of my mother. Like, she was just so, people ask me all the time, like, who's my hero? Sports hero, whoever. I got one hero. Like, my mom is my hero. Like, she's the rock of the vision and never giving up and never giving in. And me traveling around the world to speak, one of the ironies of that is as a kid, I stuttered really bad. So I was bullied a lot. I know, you look at me now, it's like, nobody's gonna bully him, right? Back then, I was bullied a lot, and I used to stutter so bad and I just couldn't get my words out. And one of the first times my coach, he was like, you have so much to say it. And I was like, Coach, I can't speak in front of the team. So I ended up speaking in front of the team, and next thing you know, it kicks off. It's like, you got to speak every week, you know? And then I'm like, okay, great. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, like, stuttering really helped me actually activate what I didn't know was available.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's, yeah.
What's crazy, I didn't think about this till I saw this graphic. And you know, I didn't tip Ray off to this, but I'm going to throw it out there and see if our audience is the first to get it. The city of Little Rock has a connection, a really strong sports connection with the city of Baltimore. And what is it? Can you put the graphic up there? Look at there. So this was I just happened to see this. This is Baltimore's Mount Rushmore. There's Ray, there's Johnny Unitas, there's Cal Ripken Jr., and who is that? Brooks Robinson. So I don't know if you ever got a chance. Brooks Robinson's from Little Rock, one of the greatest third basemen of all time, but that's a pretty good Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's a really good Mount Rushmore. I don't know how I get on that one. Wow.
Well, yeah, listen, you deserve to be on there, but can I tell you, Rex, I just had really not thought about that, but yeah, he's a legendary Baltimore Oriole, maybe the greatest of all time. Let's go back to, before we do that, I didn't think it's funny, we have a lot of speakers that we do headshots for. I need to show some of the pictures that I was looking for headshots for Ray. This is what I had to choose from. That was one. That's the one we chose. That's the linebacker. Look at that. There's another one. Yeah, that's the linebacker, yes. And even at the Hall of Fame, even at your Hall of Fame, you're doing it. You've got that crazy look, even at the Hall of Fame. But that's the way you play. You play with emotion. You're an emotional guy, and that's the way you do it.
It's life. Yeah. I don't think it's the game. I think the game has its own fabric to it. I think that is just the same kid that still lives in me to this day. That passion never dies, man. Like, I'm passionate in everything. You know, my mom says, calm down when you're talking to me. Mom,
my mother says that too. You hear that, Mom? I got an out here, right? So, because she says it. Even now, she says that to you.
Yeah, like, Mom, you don't have to speak to me like that, you know?
Let's look at this picture. You were born on May 15th, 1975.
Yeah.
This is a baby Ray right here. So this is one of, you know, I try to do my research, and right off the bat, Ray, I was like, wow, this is an interesting story that your mom was she 15 or 16?
15.
She was 15 years old when she had you. Dad wasn't around while she was going through the pregnancy, and she was in the hospital, didn't have enough money really to take care of business and get you all out of there. So she asked a good friend of hers who happened to have the name of Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
He was a military guy, and asked if he would put his name for you.
Yeah.
And maybe help, you know, be able to pay the bills getting out of the hospital. And that's how you became Ray Lewis, which is something you didn't know for many years.
Yeah. Put that picture back up right quick, though. Let me tell you guys a little story about that picture. Put that baby picture back up. So I was so ugly as a baby. My mother actually used my son's picture.
Oh, that's not you? That's not you.
I'm telling you, my mom would never show a picture of me as a kid.
Is that right? I thought that was you.
My mom hid me in bed.
She did. She used your son's picture.
I'm not supposed to tell that story. So I'm going to get it when I get home. Trust me. But my mom, I was like, Mom, the first time I said, Mom, that's not me. She said, I know that's not you. I can't show nobody you. So it broke my heart.
That's crazy.
No, but it's you know, I tell you what, like, you don't realize, like, the value of a name until you don't have one, you know? And so, long story short, like, you know, it's like, Mom, why don't I have the name that the family has? Like, why don't I have nobody else's name in the entire family? And Pastor, you know, if you go biblical, God changed certain names for a reason, that he wanted to do something with them. So God had plans for me way before me. And so for me, I wanted to go on this journey to find out, okay, where does my name, where do I come from, And I did a lot of homework. Most of my family is Nigerian. I'm probably 73% Nigerian. And then I started looking for my forefathers, and I started looking for my grandfather, looking for my father, and looking for this. And I never forget, in 11th grade, I was standing in the carport, and my father, my actual real father, had changed my name to Ray Anthony Jackson. But at this time, I was living in a place of hate, which is not a good place for us to ever live. I was living in a place of hate, and so I took the paper and I burned it, and I was like, I would never walk in his name, a man that would never come back to see his son, to hold his son, to touch his son, to love his son. But I did meet Ray Lewis that day, and I shook Ray Lewis' hand, and I told him, thank you, and I promise to make your name great. So for me, I took someone else's identity and created my own purpose through creating a God identity. So no, like the only bloodline that's connected to Lewis is me and my 5 kids. Now that my son passed last year, but me and my 5 kids and my 2 granddaughters. So when I tell you, when God recreates something, you can't understand the storm sometimes, because the storm may introduce this disaster, but on the other side of that, God says, well done, my good and faithful servant. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, well said. So, growing up, your mom has some more kids, and she immediately makes you be the man of the house. Let's show a couple pictures of young Ray in the neighborhood here. And I know that's Ray right there. So that's
Man, them short. My goodness.
and then let's see the one surrounded by. I think most of these are your siblings. So that's Ray, the top right, and I guess those are your siblings. Right?
Yeah, that's my 2 twin sisters. That's my baby sister in my hand. That's my baby brother. So I'm the oldest of 5 from my mom, and then I'm the oldest of 10 from my father. So I'm the oldest out of everybody, but that's my mom's. Yeah,
and your mom basically told you, I guess at age 10, or maybe 8 or 9 or 10, it says, because she was working multiple jobs, she goes, you're the oldest, I need you to be the man of the house at age 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah,
have to do everything for the kids.
Yeah, there's some old school mothers in this room that understand this, and I think would love to appreciate this, because their kids need to go back to this. My mom took everything away from me, and my mom told me, don't ever go outside. You can't go away from this yard. You must stay in this house. I'm gonna teach you how to cook, clean, fold, braid, wash, iron, everything that you're not supposed to learn, you're gonna learn, right? I don't have time for you to be a child, baby Ray. I need you to be a man. And I looked at her and I was like, sounds like a lot. So, and honestly, like, in my entire life, I've never told my mom no. I've told her maybe, but I've never said no. And that for me was what our relationship was. It's what it is today. That's why my mom lives with me to this day. Like, what she gives me, what she gave me then, I promise you is the reason why I am who I am today.
You mentioned, another worth another round of applause. So the first gentleman that stepped in, Ray Lewis, stepped in, a former military guy stepped in. I'll give you my name. I have military benefits. That'll help your mom pay the bills. The next gentleman, I think, really changed the course of your life. And I know there's some people in this room. I have much respect for these guys, Ray, because I talk about them, because I'm not that guy. But there was your mom had told you would not play football. And so one day you were at a practice at the Lake City Lumberjacks. Lakeland Lumberjacks.
Yeah.
And there was a guy named Biscuit. He was Coach Biscuit. So Coach Biscuit came over and said, hey, man, I want you to play football. And you told him really quick, ain't going to happen because your mom. So tell us what happened with Coach Biscuit and what he did and how he changed the trajectory of your life as far as sport of football.
Yeah, well, you know, when you're from the country, like where I'm from, you name your kids after foods and everything, right? And so the 2 coaches was named Head and Biscuit, right? So I'm out there, and every day I used to be out there. You know, Mom, you had a rule. You couldn't go but so far away from the house. But the football practice was literally right across the street. So when Mom would go in the house, I would sneak over there and just sit outside the gate, right? And I would just sit there and just watch these practices, practice after practice, practice after practice. And then the coach walks up to me one day and he says, why don't you play football? And I was like, how much does it cost? He said, $15. I said, we do not have no $15 to play no football. He was like, well, you got a mom and dad? I said, nah, my mom. He says, can I speak to your mom? I said, heck no, you ain't finna speak to no black woman who broke. Like, we broke. Like, we have nothing. You don't want to talk to her. And then he was like, no, let me talk to her. So, man, I'm telling you, I walked him in the house, and literally, I sprinted back out of the house. I was like, I don't want to hear nothing. Like, I don't know how this is going to go. So I stayed outside about 2 hours just playing in the front yard. And then he came back, And he was like, your mom said yes, and I'm going to give you the $15. And my mom came out. She came on the porch, and she said, and you still got to take your brothers and sisters to the nursery. You still got to do this. You still got to take a chance. I said, Mom, how am I going to do all that and play football? Well, you're not playing football. I was like, okay, I'll do all of that. She said, okay, you can play football. That's how
And not
football
only did he, I
started.
think
Yeah.
I saw where not only
Yeah.
did he play the $15, I think your mom has said he's got to drop you, he's got to pick you up after practice and drop you off.
She did nothing. So my mom, and when I say nothing, like she made it a point. This is not my job. This is what you want to do. You got to take care of it. So my mom actually made it to one game my entire childhood. My mom had a tough time raising 5 kids. She had a tough time. And so the first game we ever played in, I got a reverse, and I ran the reverse back 85 yards. I got the last jersey they had, number 85. The numbers was tore all off. Anyway, and I was so grateful to always just have it, and I wore it up under my shirts every day, like literally every day to school, because that's the only shirt I had. And then I remember running with the ball, and I remember giving the ball to my mom, and the ref was like, "We're gonna need that, you know." I'm sorry, you know. I thought this is what we do, and then, you know, ever since then, from 1985, since I was 10 years old, my mom worked 3 jobs, and she always used to say, "Baby, do your best. I can't make it," and then, so I was like, okay. And then my mom came to me a few years later, and she was like, Junior, baby, I can't afford you. Like, I just can't. Like, you got to go stay with your grandmother. And I said, Mom, please don't put me out. Please don't. She was like, I got to. So I jumped around years from 10 to like 16, 17 until my mom got back on her feet. I stayed with my great-grandmother. I stayed with my grandmother. And I would get picked up every weekend by my uncles. They would pick me up just to drop me off at Midway Point. And I mean, literally, I was doing this with 1 pair of shoes, 1 shirt, one pair of cargo pants. And but I never lost faith in what my mom always told me. She used to always say, "It's gonna be better. It's gonna be better." And so while I was going through all of that, I was like, I think the difference of me and what I tell people about pain or distractions or detours is you still have a choice. Inside of each and every one of those, you have a choice. And it's your choice to choose. And if you choose the path that's given to you, then okay, you can choose it. But then if you want to change it, change it. So mentally, I was the person that wanted to change it. I wanted to break the stereotypes of selling drugs or becoming a gang member or disrespecting your mom. I've never disrespected my mom in my life. It's always been yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And so then when I finally got to 15, 16 years old, my mom says, I can afford you again. She said, you can come back home. And I was like, all right, go back home. Man, shoot. A year later, I was like, Mom, I got a vision. And this is where I tell kids, if you have a vision, you have to explain this vision to your mom and your parents. You can't just go live the vision, because without them knowing it, it's a very hard thing without having their prayers to back you. So I wanted my mom. My mom's a pastor, been a pastor most of her life, and she sees life one way. You come to my mom with a problem, I don't care what it is. Mama, I'm broke. Ask Jesus. Mama, I'm hungry. Ask Jesus. Mama, I want something I want to ask you. Ask Jesus. I'm like, Mom, this ain't Jesus' conversation. This is us. Like, can we talk? You know, it's like, but, and you know, and I think honestly, like, the difference, and this is kind of what I said on the radio, the difference of understanding what integrity actually represents or character, it's not what you have, it's not what you can give, it's actually what you can actually push through. And when you get on the other side of that, my mom was waiting for me on the other side of that, which gave me a certain pass to never worry about failing. So I stopped thinking about failure. I stopped saying I can't. And I will when I do it. So everybody around me at this time, 16 years old, they was like, this boy's crazy. Like, I'm telling you, this boy's lost his mind. He has this vision that he's going to make all this money and he's going to be in the NFL. And I was like, I'm crazy for thinking this. So I come in the house and I tell my grandparents and I tell everybody, I'm done eating fried foods. I'm done eating sugary drinks. You know what they told me? You'll starve. Great. But seriously, it became a lifestyle. So when I started to do what I do from 10 to 16, I'm 49 years old. My partners will tell you, I got the same routine that I had then. Because every young athlete that's in this audience, sports will end one day. But life as a man is always continuing. And what you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to be defined, that's based off what you actually come through. Everybody's been through many storms. And so for me, man, I stopped being the bully. I stopped letting people bully me. Right? So this last guy, I never forget this last guy. It was so bad. But this last guy, he just wanted to fight me so bad. And I was like, bro, I don't want to fight. So he like punched me 3 times in the mouth, you know, and I'm like just taking it. And when I tasted that blood the last time, I was like, man, this is so bad. Like what I'm about to do to him. But I'm going to make it like really quick. So when I started slamming him on his head, then I was like, okay, I'm done fighting forever. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because you go through those years as a kid, seeing your mom go through some domestic abuse. Yeah. You did that, and you continued to mature as a young man. And also, you get to high school. Yeah. Kathleen High School, right?
Kathleen High School.
Show the picture of Ray, if we can, Anita. Let's see. I think it's there. He is. So that's young Ray right there. He's starting to fill out. That's the football player that could do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then also show the wrestling photo if you have. I think that's photo number 10. So you told me, I said, I thought your record was 80 and 10, but you were correcting me. See, you said 89 and 10.
Yeah,
so
I'm always being
that's
hustled.
okay.
Keep going.
So you found out your dad had all the state records or all the records in school, and that was a motivation that you were going to break every record he had because he wasn't around.
Yeah.
And so you had that going for you in wrestling, and then you were ready to make it happen in football.
Yeah, so I had to live in the garage because the man my mom married he hated me. So I had to live in the garage. And so on the garage, I found out that my father was the best wrestler, athlete at my same high school. And I'm like, wow, really? And so my sophomore season is when the guy by the name of Tolbert Bain, he was my father's coach, but ended up being my referee in the matches. And he walks up to me as soon as I walk in, and he said, boy, you will know what to do with this because I've held this for years the moment I heard about you. And I grabbed the book, and I opened up the book, and the book was 1975. It was the year I was born. And I opened up the book, and my father's picture is in this book. And every record was under my father's name. And I'm like, what the freak? He was that raw? Like, God. And I never forget, my cousin Maurice Franklin said, you have to wrestle. And I was like, let's do it. I didn't know nothing about wrestling, like whatsoever. So I quit basketball because I thought basketball, still do, think it's the softest sport ever. But that's just me. Ain't got nothing personal to do with nobody's fabric of a man. But I just thought, I got kicked out because they was like, oh, you can't foul people hard. I was hitting them like this. That hurt a little bit? Okay. Yeah. That's how I wanted to feel you, make sure it was good. But when I quit basketball, I was like, I'm walking out of the gym. I'm like, man, I'm done with this, man. Y'all crying and stuff. I'm broke. I'm hungry. And everybody fussing. So then next thing you know, my wrestling coach was standing outside the cafeteria that day, and he says, come over here. He said, look in this room. And I looked in that room, and there was a bunch of guys in the cafeteria where we eat on sweaty wrestling mats. And I'm like, man, I'm never doing that. What are you talking about? Heck no. And then next thing you know, the year later, 6 months later, my mom hit a rough spot. Went to stay with my grandmother, and the district, our address was in that district. So I had to stay in that district. And then I started wrestling, and then I think within the first 3 weeks, my coach said to me, Stephen Poole, I brought him to the Hall of Fame. And fathers and coaches and brothers, I'm telling you, if you touch more men, like physically touch them and give them a word, they will use it. They will use it. And I remember him grabbing me, and he said to me, I have never seen this before in my life. He says, you have something that nobody else has. And I was like, what? Like, what is that? He said, you won't quit. So I went through my whole sophomore season. Realistically, I'm telling you, I didn't know not one skill on wrestling. I just went out there on straight effort. I pushed people so hard to just, and my guy who we met in the back, the 4-time quarterback, the 4-time MVP, he understands. Like when you go on that mat and you push a man and you push a man and he got to push you back and you got to keep pushing, and somebody got to give out a breath soon, right? But then when you get to that point where the breath doesn't matter, to where you're like, no, I don't care about breath, bruh. Like I'm telling you, I'm going to do what I want to do to you. And my sophomore year, I got all the way to state and got in the championship against state. And once again, it's a learning curve. And this guy hit me with a head and arm. And I'm looking up at the ceiling. And in our ceiling, it says, if you're reading this sign, you are being pinned. So I was like, oh, my season is over then, you know. We got to start this again, right? And so I never forget the inspiration for me wanting to go at wrestling so hard. One day, I always ran home from school. Like I said, my mom could never get me from school. So my coach saw me getting ready to run home from school, and he says, I'll take you home. And I said, okay, coach. So he takes me home, and he says, he said, you shivering. I said, coach, I ain't ate in 3 days. And he said, what you want to eat? And I said, coach, just, anything, And he said, okay. And I went and got a 21-piece shrimp box from Chicken and Fish, Country Chicken and Fish, we called it. 21-piece shrimp box, double fries, no celery, applesauce on the side. Still remember it. And after I got done, he says, where you going? I said, I'm going home, coach, sit in my room. And I said, can I go to your house? He was like, yeah. I went in, when I entered coach's house, we stayed in one room for almost 8 hours. And he taught me everything it was to learn about wrestling on the mat. And every technique and every submission hold. And I became a walking weapon my junior year. And I went back to wrestling, and I had the vision of what I wanted to erase every one of my father's records. And to this day, without going to a longer story, every one of his records fell.
To you?
To me.
How about
Right?
that?
My name replaced that. Yeah. But I know we're also talking about a lot of like the things that I didn't have from my father. But I will tell you this: my father did become my best friend before he passed. Me and my father, we made that right. So yeah.
So Ray Lewis becomes a state champion, first ever state wrestling champion in Kathleen High School history. He's the last player offered by Dennis Erickson at Miami in 1993. They were there to see another player play. Saw Ray dominate. We don't have time to get to it now, but he's returning kickoffs. He's running back. They offer him a scholarship by Miami. The last one, sort of like Brett Favre last week. We found out that Southern Miss was the only school to offer Brett Favre a scholarship, and it was because somebody had changed their mind. And so you get that offer to go to Miami, and that work ethic that you heard about Ray Lewis it didn't take long for that to be seen. And I ran across this, Ray. This is a clip of your old teammate, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, Dwayne Johnson, otherwise is known as The Rock, was talking with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning on the Manning Cast. And listen what he says about Ray Lewis and seeing him his freshman year. And then after that, there's a clip that The Rock used in his TV show called Young Rock.
Sometimes remember, if you lose your job to me, you may not get it back. You know? He bring me up there if he want to.
All right, The Rock hears that. I love it. So you go on, you're drafted obviously by the Baltimore Ravens. At that time, you're like, who in the heck is Baltimore? You know,
Who is Baltimore?
They just gotten their name like 3 weeks before. In a
3 weeks
payphone.
before.
Yeah.
So Ozzie Newsome calls me. We're sitting in the Miami Dolphins Stadium, and we're sitting there, and they're like, you're supposed to go to 20th pick. You're going to Miami. You're going to Miami. 5 linebackers come off the board. And I'm like, there's no way that these guys are better than me. What the freak is going on? Right, so I'm freaking out. My agent is like trying to calm me down. And next thing you know, Green Bay calls, and Green Bay says, if you know the story about Green Bay, Bill Belichick was at Green Bay at the time. He had me the #1 person on his board to take. So Green Bay comes down, and Green Bay says, Bill Belichick was at Cleveland to take me on the board. Green Bay calls and says, we're going to take you at the 27th pick. So I'm geared up. I'm like, I'm going from Miami to Green Bay? That's tough. That's tough. And next thing you know, I'm like sitting there, just itching. Oh, guys, I'm telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, we finna go. And next thing you know, Baltimore called, and it was Ozzie Newsome. And Ozzie was on the other line, and he says, Ray Lewis, congratulations. We're going to take you at the 26th pick with Baltimore. And I said, Ozzie, who is Baltimore? I said, you guys don't have a team.
They just moved back to Baltimore.
Like literally just moved. The trucks had just arrived in town.
Right. Didn't have a
right. So I'm like, we don't have a logo. We don't have no colors. We don't have nothing. So I'm like, Ozzie, you sure it's a team? Like, he was like, no, we're the old Cleveland Browns. We're the new Ravens, this and this. And, man, when I got on the phone, I never forget, because Jonathan Ogden went the 4th pick of the draft, one of the greatest tackles of ever. And so we got off the plane into Baltimore, and Jonathan says, where did we get drafted from? Where? Like, Ray, like, what the freak, what are we doing? And I never forget, he tells this story all the time. I looked at him that day, and I said, imagine if we're the beginning of something that lasts forever. Can you imagine that, bro? He was like, no, I cannot imagine that.
and Ray, listen, it took only 6 years later, you guys win the Super Bowl.
5th year.
The 5th year.
Fifth
You're the
year.
MVP.
Yeah.
And so, all the things we saw in college came out to be true, proved everybody wrong. And not really wrong. You were All-American, but those 4 or 5 linebackers who went before you. But this was something I thought was really cool, too. You win the Super Bowl. You're the MVP. I think either 5 or 6 of the defensive coordinators that coached you at Baltimore got head coaching jobs in the NFL, probably because of how good your defense was and you. One of them was your hero, Mike Singletary, who we had at this club. And the NFL, I think it was NFL Network, interviewed all these coaches, and one of them was Mike Singletary because Mike wanted to get into coaching. So he's trying to decide, should I go to Baltimore? Because you've already won the MVP, you've already done everything. And so how cool is that he still had that hunger, even though you had already been NFL Player of the Year, Super Bowl MVP, but when you got a chance for your idol to come in, you wanted to absorb even more.
Oh, man, it was the greatest moment, I think, of my life as a man. I would say that. I think it done something for me as a man, because you can achieve a lot of awards. People can crown you, right? But it's something different when you're searching for the fabric of a man, the essence of a man. Like, what does that mean? And I wanted to hear that from Mike Singletary. I wanted to hear, like one of the things, if we kept going in that clip, like he was screaming at me on the sideline because I knew the play, right? And I wanted to override the defensive coordinator, and he was just like, look at me, you know. And I'm like, I'm looking, right? And I'm like, he was like, Ray, your voice, you can never speak to somebody a certain way as a leader. You cannot do it. So then we leave the Jets game, and that Monday, we come in, and I'm sitting in the meeting waiting for him. And he's like, okay, listen, I know I shouldn't have yelled at you, but, you know, I thought you lost. I said, Coach, I'm not here for that. I said, would you have Bible study with me? Like, can you teach me how to read the Bible? Teach me what you know. I just want to be a better man. I just want you to coach me on the smallest things ever. And that was my thing with Marvin Lewis. That was my thing with Rex Ryan. That was my thing with Coach Mike Singletary, Mike Nolan. Now, as you see, I'm calling out a lot of guys who became head coaches. I did not get a carrying fee from none of them. But it was this thing that I tell young guys and tell young men and my sons who I tell the most. If you have an opportunity to speak to someone, to grab knowledge from them, that's your duty to do that. And so for me, it became this thing that I wanted all knowledge that every coach had stored in their head. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know every check. I wanted to know every player. I wanted to know every position. I wanted to know why you called this, why you called this on second down, why you called this on third down. Give me all of it. And man, by the time we got to the half of the year, he says, I'm serious. If I was ever as serious in the game than you was, he said, I thought I was a student of the game until I actually started to see how you see the game. And so the game was starting to become so slow to me, ladies and gentlemen, that I started to see things that wasn't even happening. I had to make it happen.
Yeah, what a compliment for him.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest of all time.
The ultimate.
To say that to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ray goes on and wins another Super Bowl. It's his last game of his career. And a couple more things, we'll let you go. One is, let's go to photo 20. You had a chance to play against a lot of great players. One was Tom Brady. You talk a little smack right there, it looks like. What was it like playing against Tom?
This is when I'm finna go into my Jesus mode. Because if I went the other route, then Pastor, you wouldn't feel good about me right now. No, oh man, let me be careful. Look, I love war when it comes to Peyton and Tom and those guys. TB knows this, so I'm not telling you nothing that Tom doesn't know himself. On the football field, I don't like Tom. You know, and it's not personal, but it's just me telling you, if the game is played the way, this is the integrity of the game now. Like, this is the integrity of it. You get your best team, I get my best team. But don't cry for nothing. Because you can't cry. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. And so that's what I'm saying. We've robbed defensive players, right? And in today's game, my gosh, you can't hit nobody. Right? I'm telling you, 5 years we are playing flag football. No, I'm telling you straight, guys, that's where we are. Right? Okay, how many people in this room, honest about, raise their hands, when you used to get up on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, all you was going to the game for was to see a big hit? 1,000%. Because you knew somebody was going to get knocked out today. Right? That's not a bad thing. Like, we make knocking somebody out a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Boxers do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But it's what came from those battles, right? Peyton Manning's wife, never forget at the Pro Bowl, she's running to me full speed. I mean, she's at a full speed angle, like walking into Hawaii at the Pro Bowl. And I'm like, this cannot be good. A white woman is running full speed at me. It's tough. This is going to be tough. What in the hell is going to come from this? Right? And then she gets up to me and she was like, oh my gosh, you have no clue. Like, you're my favorite of all time. And I'm Ashley Manning. And I'm like, so you're Peyton Manning's wife? She's like, yes. My husband knows everything about you. I'm like, what do you mean? He built a room in our house, and the whole room is about Ray Lewis, Ray Lewis, Ray Lewis. And I'm like, really? So I called my financial advisor. I said, I need a freaking film room in my house right now. But I built the film room. I literally built the film room in my house because Brady and Tom, Tom and Brady, Manning or Peyton, they were two different people. Peyton is something else. Tom is something else. But when you go to Brady and Manning, bro, those are strategists. I'm telling you, you have to be so keen in to the smallest detail. And that's why I think the rivalries that we had, I mean, you caught a clip a few months ago, Brady said he hated playing against me. Why? Because I knew where the ball was going. And although you may complete the pass, somebody gonna pay for that. you may get it. You know what I'm talking about, Big Daddy. Big Daddy, you know what I'm talking about, right? You can complete the pass, but I'm telling you, somebody's mama won't like me today, right? That was my goal. My goal was to make sure somebody's mama was mad at me. Like, you know how many mothers I had walk up to me and say, don't you ever hit my child like that again. And I was like, but that's my job.
Good job, yes.
But with them, I'm telling you, my game elevated because of playing against the Bradys, playing against the Toms, because they say quarterbacks are the smartest. I beg to differ. I really do. Because if you think from a mental on what we have to do from a defensive side to react, right? And then we turn coming from not only reacting, I made us the dictators by knowing every intricate thing about defenses and offenses. So, man, look, those battles to me, Brett will tell you, when I walked up to Brett, I know he was here last week. I watched his little video. You know, I just wanted to make sure there was anything said. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, they done retired. I ain't retired yet. You know, I'm still waiting for one more round. But it's you're always looking at the greatest to ask yourself, how does he see me?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to give everything I have, so that when the Bradys, the Mannings, the whoever speaks about me, it's only a certain thing they speak about.
And they do. Sure, that's worth a round of applause. Three of the greats of all time. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up here because Ray's gonna do some pictures for a little bit. But before we go, we're gonna play a 90-second clip, and I think this sort of captures the spirit of Ray. And then we're gonna put a picture up to close it out on the back side. I think we all will appreciate. How about that? The great Ray Lewis. Whoa, woo! And we'll end with this. Ray, we'll end with this. So, you know, we went through a lot there, went through a whole lot. You know, I know this has got to be fatiguing because you've done so many of these interviews. But let's end with photo number 23, sort of where we started, Anita, if we can. So that's your mom.
Mom Dukes.
That's your hero.
Mom Dukes.
So all this stuff, that gold jacket you got on, it all started with a mom who sacrificed, and you had to play a role in that too, but that's where it all started.
Yeah. Yeah, that woman right there, man, Jesus. Like, she's incredible. Like, she's something that, like, she's different. Yeah. She's different.
Well, that's where it all started. Ladies and gentlemen, how about this? To one of the greatest of all time, Ray Lewis, everybody. Give it up for Ray.
So.
Great job, Ray. Eric Dickerson next week. No autographs, just quick pictures. We need sponsors first. 50-yard line members next. We'll get as many photos as we can.